A billionaire humiliated a homeless man outside a hospital. But when the veteran revealed what really happened in the desert 16 years ago, everything changed. This is a story about cowardice, courage, and the price of truth. The December wind cut through downtown Seattle like broken glass. Brandon Castellano pulled his cashmere coat tighter as he stepped out of his Tesla, the door closing with that expensive whisper only $100,000 cars make. His phone buzzed. Another text from his campaign manager. The fundraiser tonight would put him over the edge. Senator Castellano. He could taste it. He was halfway to the entrance of Cedar Ridge Medical Center when he saw the man. Dirty green jacket. Torn jeans. A cardboard sign that read veteran. Anything helps. The man sat against the brick wall, a paper cup in his weathered hands. Brandon's lip curled. He hated this. His PR team had told him 100 times that these people made the neighborhood look bad. Made donors uncomfortable. "Excuse me, sir." The homeless man's voice was quiet. Respectful. "Could you spare? Get a job." Brandon didn't break stride. His Italian leather shoes clicked against the concrete. "I'm tired of seeing you people on every corner. This is a medical district. There are sick children coming here. You think they want to see this?" The man's cup lowered slowly. Brandon was already reaching for the door handle when he heard it. That voice again. Different now. Stronger. Brandon Castellano. Brandon froze. His hand hovered over the brass handle. Something in the way the man said his name. Like he was reading it off a gravestone. He turned around, irritation flooding his chest. "Do I know you?" The homeless man stood up. He moved like someone who had been still for too long. Stiff. Careful. His face was hidden under a week of gray beard, but his eyes were clear. Too clear. They locked onto Brandon's face and didn't move. Fallujah. November 2009. The words hit Brandon like a fist. His mouth went dry. The busy street around him seemed to blur. Car horns. People walking past. A woman laughing into her phone. All of it faded into white noise. "You're mistaken." Brandon's voice came out thin. "Wrong. I've never been to 2nd Platoon. Delta Company." The man took a step forward. Brandon saw it now. The limp. The way his left leg dragged just slightly. "I'm Antonio Cruz. We served together for 8 months. You remember me now." Brandon's heart slammed against his ribs. Antonio Cruz. The name pulled memories up from the dark place where he'd buried them. Sand in his teeth. The smell of burning oil. Screaming. So much screaming. That was 16 years ago. Brandon glanced around. A couple walked past, not looking. "Good. I don't remember every person from. You remember the convoy." Antonio's voice was steady. "Come." That made it worse somehow. Highway 10. The IED hit the lead vehicle. "You remember what happened next?" Brandon's hand trembled. He shoved it into his coat pocket. His throat felt like sandpaper. There was chaos. Everyone scattered. It's called survival instinct. The army cleared me of any. You ran. Antonio took another step. He was close now. Brandon could smell coffee on his breath. Old coffee. The cheap kind from gas stations. The rest of us took cover and returned fire. But you ran. Straight back down the highway. Didn't stop. Didn't look back. Didn't help when Jackson got hit. Didn't help when I took shrapnel trying to pull him to cover. That's not how it happened." Brandon's voice rose. An elderly man walking a small dog glanced over. Brandon lowered his voice to a hiss. "I was disoriented. In shock. The investigation found no evidence of. The investigation found what your father paid for it to find." Antonio's eyes were like concrete. Hard. Unmoving. William Castellano. Real estate developer. $3 million in donations to the right people. The report disappeared. My testimony disappeared. Jackson's widow never got the full story about why her husband died bleeding in the sand while one of his brothers ran away. Brandon felt sweat on his back despite the cold. His carefully constructed world was cracking. He could see the headlines already. Tech mogul's military secret. Senate hopeful's coward past exposed. You can't prove any of this. Brandon stepped closer. His face was inches from Antonio's now. You're a homeless junkie with a grudge. No one will believe you. I'll bury you in lawsuits. I'll make sure you never. I have the original report. Antonio's voice didn't rise. Didn't waver. Before it was altered. Jackson's helmet camera caught everything. The whole unit running toward the fight. You running away. Me screaming your name. Begging you to come back. To help. The world tilted. Brandon grabbed the wall to steady himself. His vision tunneled. That footage was destroyed. The army told me. The army told you what you needed to hear. Antonio reached into his jacket. Brandon flinched. But Antonio pulled out a phone. Old model. Cracked screen. He tapped it twice. Turned it toward Brandon. The video was grainy. Desert colors. Shaky. But Brandon saw himself. Younger. Terrified. Running. His mouth open in a scream that had no sound in the silent clip. Then the camera panned. Antonio's face. 23 years old. Blood pouring from his leg. Dragging Jackson's limp body behind a burned-out truck. Yelling something. The camera caught it. Brandon's name. Over and over. I've had this for 16 years. Antonio's voice was quiet again. Almost gentle. Kept it on every phone. Backed it up on 3 different clouds. Sent copies to people I trust. If anything happens to me, it goes public. Brandon couldn't breathe. His campaign. His company. His reputation. Everything he'd built on the foundation of his father's money and his own carefully crafted image. All of it was about to collapse. What do you want? The words came out as a whisper. Broken. Money. I can wire you. I don't want your money. Antonio pocketed the phone. I've been watching you for 3 months. Saw your face on the news. Tech genius. Philanthropist. Future senator. Made me sick. I came here because you're giving a speech today. Inside this hospital. New children's wing. Your donation bought it. Brandon's eyes widened. The fundraiser. 200 people. News cameras. His announcement speech. You're going to go in there, Antonio continued, and you're going to tell them the truth. All of it. Or I walk in behind you and play this video on every screen in that room. If this story is touching your heart, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Your support helps these powerful stories reach people who need to hear them. Let's continue. Brandon's legs wouldn't move. He stood there on the sidewalk, his mouth opening and closing like a fish drowning in air. Inside the hospital, 200 people were waiting. His investors. His donors. 3 news stations. His wife. His daughters. You don't understand what you're asking. Brandon's voice cracked. I have a family. 2 girls. They're 8 and 10. This will destroy them. My wife. Jackson had a daughter. Antonio's face didn't change. She was 6 months old when her daddy died. Never got to know him. Never got to hear the truth about what happened. About how one of his brothers left him to die because he was too scared to fight. I was 22 years old. Brandon shouted. A woman pushing a stroller hurried past, pulling her child closer. Brandon lowered his voice, but the desperation stayed. I made a mistake. One mistake. I've spent 16 years trying to make up for it. The charity work. The donations. I've given millions to veteran causes. Blood money. Antonio's words were sharp. Clean. Like a blade sliding between ribs. You think your guilt donations erase what you did? I wake up every day with pain shooting through my leg. Every single day for 16 years. Jackson's daughter grew up without a father. His wife remarried a man who hits her. I found that out 2 years ago. She needed her husband. The real one. The one who died waiting for help that never came. Brandon felt tears on his face. He didn't remember starting to cry. His hands shook violently now. He pulled them from his pockets and stared at them like they belonged to someone else. "Please." The word tasted like ash. "I'll give you anything. 10 million. 20. I'll set you up for life. Get you an apartment. Medical care. Whatever you need." Antonio's laugh was bitter. "Hollow." It echoed off the hospital walls. "You still don't get it. I don't want your money. I want you to stop lying. I want you to stop pretending you're some hero, some savior. You're a coward who bought his way out of consequences." Brandon's phone buzzed again. His campaign manager. "Where are you? Speech starts in 10 minutes. I can't do this." Brandon's voice was barely a whisper. "It'll ruin everything. My company will tank. My family will be humiliated. I'll lose everything I've worked for. Then you'll know how I felt." Antonio's voice finally rose. Finally broke. "When I woke up in that field hospital. When they told me my leg was destroyed. When I found out the report was changed. When I got discharged with nothing. When I couldn't find work because I couldn't stand for more than an hour. When my wife left because I couldn't provide. When I lost my apartment. When I ended up here." He gestured at his cardboard sign. His torn clothes. "You want to talk about losing everything? I lost everything because I stayed and fought. You ran and became a billionaire." Brandon's phone buzzed again. His wife this time. "Where are you? Girls are asking for you." He thought about his daughters, Sophia and Grace. Their faces when they watched him on TV. The pride in their eyes. He thought about last Tuesday. Sophia's school project. My hero. She'd written about him. Drew a picture of him in a cape. He'd hung it on his office wall. "If I tell the truth," Brandon said slowly, "what happens to you? You've been homeless for how long? 3 years. 4. 4 years. Living on the streets. That video is your leverage. Your power. Once I confess, you lose that. What's to stop me from recanting later? Saying you forced me? My lawyers could destroy you." Antonio reached into his jacket again. This time he pulled out a folded piece of paper. He handed it to Brandon. Brandon opened it with trembling fingers. It was a contract. Simple. Direct. Brandon would confess publicly. In return, Antonio would transfer all copies of the footage to a lawyer who would hold it in escrow. If Brandon ever tried to take back his confession or retaliate against Antonio, the footage would go public. The contract also included a trust. $5 million. Not for Antonio. For Jackson's daughter. For her education. Her future. "You wrote this." Brandon stared at the paper. "Law library. Been working on it for 2 months. Had a lawyer friend look it over. It's solid." Brandon read it again. His mind raced through possibilities. Loopholes. Ways out. But every path led to the same place. His secret would stay buried and eat him alive. Or it would come out and destroy him. There was no third option. "Why now?" Brandon looked up. "You've had this footage for 16 years. Why wait until I'm running for Senate?" "Because I wanted you to have something to lose." Antonio's voice was quiet again. "Sad. When you were just another rich kid, exposing you wouldn't have mattered. You would have landed on your feet. Your daddy's money would have caught you. But now you've built something. Now people look up to you. Now you have a reputation. Now the fall actually means something." Brandon's phone rang. His campaign manager. He let it ring. Inside his pocket. Vibrating against his leg like a dying insect. "And if I don't sign?" Brandon asked. "If I just walk away right now?" Antonio pulled out his phone. Tapped the screen. "Then I post this to every social media platform. Tag every news organization. Email it to everyone on your donor list. Your wife. Your employees. Your daughter's school. It'll go viral in an hour. By tonight, you'll be the most hated man in America. The coward who abandoned his brothers and bought his way to success." Brandon looked at the hospital entrance. Glass doors. He could see people inside, moving around, setting up chairs. His podium, his microphone, his moment. He thought about his father. Dead now. Heart attack 5 years ago. His last words to Brandon had been about the Senate race. Make me proud, son. Show them what Castellanos are made of. But Brandon knew what he was made of. Sand and secrets. Money and lies. He pulled a pen from his pocket. Clicked it. The sound seemed too loud. He looked at Antonio's face. Really looked. The lines around his eyes. The gray in his beard. The way he held himself. Still a soldier. Still standing at attention. Even in torn clothes and broken shoes. Jackson's daughter, Brandon said. What's her name? Emily. She's 16 now. Wants to be a nurse. Brandon nodded. Put the pen to paper. His hand shook so hard the first signature was illegible. He tried again. Brandon James Castellano. There it was. In blue ink. The end of everything he'd built. Antonio took the contract. Folded it carefully. Put it back in his jacket. There's a reporter inside, Antonio said. Rebecca Torres. She covered military stories for 10 years. She'll understand. Tell her first. Let her break it. It'll be cleaner that way. Brandon nodded. He felt numb. Empty. Like someone had scooped out his insides and left just skin. Will you forgive me? The question came out before Brandon could stop it. Childish. Desperate. Antonio was quiet for a long moment. He looked past Brandon. At the traffic. The people. The city moving around them like they weren't even there. No, Antonio said finally. I don't think I will. But Jackson might have. He was better than both of us. He paused. Your girls. They're young. Tell them the truth too. Kids can handle more than you think. They'll hurt. But they'll understand eventually. And they'll grow up knowing their father chose honesty. That's worth something. Brandon turned toward the hospital. Each step felt like walking through concrete. He could see his reflection in the glass doors. Expensive coat. Perfect hair. Empty eyes. Behind him, Antonio sat back down. Picked up his cardboard sign. The cup returned to his hands. But Brandon saw something different now. Antonio wasn't defeated. He was lighter. Like he'd been carrying a weight for 16 years and finally set it down. Brandon pushed through the doors. The warmth hit him. Voices. Laughter. Someone called his name. He didn't respond. He walked past the reception desk. Past the decorated hallway. Past his campaign manager who grabbed his arm and asked where the hell he'd been. He walked straight to the podium. 200 faces turned toward him. Cameras raised. His wife smiled from the front row. His daughters waved. Brandon gripped the microphone. His hands left sweat marks on the metal. Thank you for coming, he said. His voice echoed through the speakers. Before we begin, I need to tell you something. Something I should have said 16 years ago. The room went quiet. His wife's smile faded. She knew that tone. Something was wrong. In November 2009, I was serving in Iraq with the 2nd Platoon, Delta Company. Brandon's voice shook, but he kept going. During an ambush on Highway 10, I made a choice. The wrong choice. I ran. Someone gasped. A camera flash went off. Brandon saw his daughter's confused faces. He kept talking. Every word felt like pulling glass from his throat. But he didn't stop. He told them everything. Outside, Antonio Cruz stood up. He left his sign against the wall. Left the cup on the ground. He walked away from the hospital. His legs still hurt. It would always hurt. But his shoulders felt different. Straighter. He pulled out his phone. Opened his contacts. Found the number he'd saved years ago. Jackson's widow. He typed slowly with cold fingers. Emily's college fund is coming. Tell her it's from her father. He's still taking care of her. He pressed send. Then he kept walking. Toward the shelter 3 blocks away. Toward a hot meal. Toward whatever came next. Behind him, inside the hospital, Brandon Castellano's old life was dying. And maybe something true was being born. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If it moved you, please subscribe to this channel and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. These stories matter, and your support helps them reach more hearts. God bless you.